Hey guys, I am going to do a video today. It's a little different than what I've been doing, and I'm going to do one actually from PFF, Pro Football Focus, on the Panthers versus Arizona preview and prediction. I'm a big Panthers fan, unfortunately. Um, Traditionally, we've had the Cardinals number in the past few years. We knocked them out of the playoffs last year, but we looked like a different team towards the end of last year than we did in this first game that we've played. So let's go check out and see what PFF has to say about it.
Like haunt your parlay. Parlays turn into payouts, and now even near misses
Let's
won't.
skip past this ad.
DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
The Carolina Panthers traveling to Arizona to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Which team piques your interest the most? You want to talk about the Panthers or the Cardinals here, Dalton?
I'll tell you what, I know they were playing the Saints last week, and the Saints, obviously, with their quarterback situation, we expect to struggle throwing the football. But this Cardinals secondary, I think, keeps getting better and better. 2 years ago, this was the lowest graded defense in the NFL. Last year, I thought this secondary got better, especially at preventing explosive plays. And now you look at what they did last week against New Orleans, only gave up 13 points, and a big reason for that was their secondary. The emergence of Will Johnson, who was their highest graded player last week, Dadrian Taylor Demerson, Buda Baker, Jalen Thompson, Garrett Williams, Max Melton, if he can play even better than he is right now. You've got a secondary that I think, you always talk about your secondary is as good as your weakest link. The Cardinals don't have many weak links in this secondary. Last week, an 87 coverage grade, best in the NFL, and they only allowed 2 explosive passes all day. The deep ball was not there. And look, the Saints, they may not have a great quarterback situation, but they have weapons. They've got Chris Olave. They've got Rashid Shaheed. They've got Juwan Johnson. Alvin Kamara is one of the best pass-catching backs in the league still, and they shut it down in the passing game. I think this Cardinals secondary and their ability to shut down explosive plays is going to play big again against Bryce Young and this Carolina team that, look, Bryce Young over his last.
Okay, are we really like praising the Saints right now? The Saints have Spencer Rattler as their quarterback. I think it's worse that they allow the Saints to even get to 13 points with the defense that they have. So that's my thought on that. So let's keep going.
Last 9-10 games, we've known that he wants to throw the football downfield. Tedoroa McMillan, a downfield receiver. Xavier Legette, a downfield receiver, and they're running a little shorthanded beyond those guys. So the Panthers have to hit these big plays. The Jaguars did a nice job against Carolina playing zone coverage and keeping things in front of them. I think the Cardinals have the opportunity to do similar things against this Panther offense. Keep it in front of you. Don't let Bryce Young make those big-time throws. McMillan and Legette are going to have to be better, especially on intermediate and underneath routes for the Panthers in this game for them to win it, because I think the Cardinals could have an advantage in a secondary that I think is ascending up the ranks.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be a big Xavier Legette game. It has to be a better game offensively for the Carolina Panthers, or they're just not going to win this one. Something that I'm looking at is Kyler's time to throw against the Saints, 3.19. It was the fourth highest of any quarterback last week. And so I just felt as though his process could have been a little bit quicker throughout the entire day. But along with that stat, the Panthers still could not get after the quarterback against Jacksonville. They're still having that issue that was lingering from last year. And it's a little disappointing at how ineffective their pass rush was. And yet, Nick Scorton plays, I think it was 27% of the defensive snaps. Princely Mielen played 12% of the defensive snaps. You brought those guys in to give you a spark. And they just really didn't get the playing time. And I feel like if they were really lighting the world on fire when it came to the preseason and in practice, they'd be giving them a little bit more of a chance to do that.
I want to address that, and I know these guys are watching all of the games, and it's impossible for them to know about every single team. It's what's going on inside, and I'm certainly not in the Panthers organization, but I every day I'm watching Panther stuff and listening to stuff, And my understanding on that is we had great in the preseason. They were raving about how quickly Uman Yellen was. I think their first practice, like there was issues because he was getting to Bryce immediately. And same with Nick. It was really promising, positive things coming out of camp. And even if I'm sure these guys know and they might be bringing it up, but in the little bit of snaps that Scorton did take, he was the fastest in the league getting off the jump. So to be honest, it's our defense, it's our DC. Evero, who most of us, I think, thought would get fired at the end of these last year after having a historically bad season, they elected to keep. And I don't know if that's because we're paying for contracts of previous coaches that have been gone, Matt Rule for Frank Reich for their staffs. And I believe this is Evero's last year in contract with us. Maybe they were just like, let's keep it going another year and just let this play out. And I mean, also, our defense was just bad. We knew that going into last year. They had taken pieces from the defense to add on to the offense. And even this past year, people thought that we should have taken a defensive player in the first round. I was very happy that we took T-Mac. I think he's going to be amazing. He was one of the bright spots that we had in week one. And Nick Scorton was graded as a first rounder, and we were able to get him in the second round. Uman Yellen was one that they thought was going to go in the second round, if not higher, and we got him in the third round. So I don't think it's these guys. It's Evero has a history of playing vets, and I don't know if maybe that's even more so because he's on the hot seat and he thinks that he has a better shot with the vets, which is beyond me because it's trotting the same guys out there from last year that weren't getting it done, and then they give him pieces and he's not using them, just like Nick Scott, the safety. Fans are furious that he's out there and he's responsible for ETN breaking up that 70-some yard run in the last game. And yet we invested a fourth round pick in Ransom, who is a thumper that can tackle, and Nick Scott can't tackle. To be honest, half the guys I saw on defense aren't tackles. I don't know what they're doing in practice. But I know Coach Canales said that he did want to see these young guys out there. And obviously, our pass rush is off. We're not getting the quarterback. I don't see the downside of playing these guys because the vets, the old guys that they have out there aren't getting the job done. Why not give these young guys with some juice an opportunity? And they're the future, right? Sorry, I went off on a rant, but I wanted to clarify that. But let's keep going.
So maybe we see a little bit more of them this week, but it was still disappointing for as much as I think a lot of people talked about the offensive side of things for Carolina, because I do think that was the more disappointing side of the ball. They still weren't able to get after the passer. And where the Cardinals, I talked about this during the review show, I would like more from them when it comes to like an impact run blocking perspective. They are a decent pass blocking team. Like, they held up pretty well against the New Orleans Saints, and I think they can do the same against Carolina if they don't step it up on the defensive side. So I got a little bit worried about Kyler not having a quicker process, but to be honest with you, if you're not going to pressure him, who cares if he holds onto the ball for more than 3 seconds? He's somebody who can make plays outside the pocket. He's somebody who is great at fire drills when plays break down and all that. And so if you're not pressuring him and you're not putting that pressure on him, then it does not matter if his process isn't quick enough, because you're just allowing him to scan the field for a lot longer. So yes, I think that first and foremost, Carolina's offense has to be better. It has to be quicker. It has to be more decisive. It has to be more confident. Xavier Leggette's got to play better. Like all of those things are certainly true, but they also have to get after Kyler a little bit better in this game, and we just didn't see that from them last week. So in this one, I still have the Cardinals winning. The Panthers are sort of a at this point in time, until the offense looks more confident and until I think the pass rush is going to get better for them, I'm going to have a hard time picking the Panthers. Not that I think that they're going to get blown out every single week. I'm just going to have a hard time picking them, especially when it's teams that I think have the capabilities of putting on a pretty good day. So I got the Arizona Cardinals winning this one 28-17, and we'll see which version of Carolina we get this week.
Yeah, and I think the big thing, one of the big things you mentioned, the pass rush, but other than Bryce Young and his performance and development, their defensive line is going to be the biggest determinant of success this year. And another problem is Jacksonville ran for 200 yards on them last week. So if the Cardinals are able to get into both dimensions of their offense, able to run the ball well, able to get to their play action concepts, get the ball to Trey McBride, then I think they do have a good day. I think it's going to be for the Panthers another kind of maybe a slog on offense with as much as the Cardinals prevent these explosive pass plays. I've got Cardinals 23, Panthers 16. I think the Cardinals can really control the pace of this game and allow Kyler Murray to not have to carry them. I don't think he was great last week against New Orleans, but I don't think he has to be great in order for them to win this game.
That's the end of the video. I mean, I understand people picking the Cardinals after last week's showing with the Panthers. I don't see how anybody could honestly pick the Panthers, other than the fact, like I said in the beginning of this video, in the last couple years, Panthers have had the Cardinals number. We played, like I said, we played them towards the end of last year. We knocked them out of the playoffs. Um, I believe last year, and I will say our personnel for defense last year was much worse. Um, so, like I said, week one, I'm hoping for a lot of things to get cleaned up and for things to get better, even though we did lose Turk Wharton for a couple weeks. I feel like, if they just do their jobs, uh, go from what they learned last year, playing them fairly recently. I want to say they were able to contain Kyler pretty well. Um, James Conner is my big concern. Our run defense is just it was supposed to be better, and from what I saw in the last game, it wasn't a ton better. Now that, like I said, that big 70-yard run from ETN padded a lot of those stats, but even before that, it wasn't good. Um, we did get Derek Brown back, and I know that it will probably take him a couple games to get that rust off. They should have done a lot more playing the starters in the preseason. I think that would have gone a long way in both directions. Um, Bryce cannot have the turnovers that he had. Leggett needs to catch the ball. Renfro needs to catch the ball. Bryce needs to make better throws. Um, I mean, you could spread the blame around. Canales, the calls were vanilla. It seemed like last year, towards the end of the year, when things were successful, he was kind of letting Bryce go off script, and it was going great. And I just, it seemed like he had lost all that confidence in Bryce in the first week. I don't know what, I don't understand it. I think that's why a lot of us are shaking our heads and just not like, how is this the same team? How did this happen? And it wasn't the same Bryce that we saw at the beginning of last year that got benched. It wasn't like he was out there scared. Um, we're looking like a deer in headlights necessarily. It was late snaps. Snaps practically going over his head, so he's got to adjust to that. And the clock's already down, and then there's somebody in his face. So I hope it was just a game one thing and they get it together. I hope they run the ball more. We have three great running backs. Chuba and Rico both had 1,000-yard seasons last year, so there's no reason not to feed them the ball. Use more play action. I just want to see Bryce having fun out there. I want to see him chucking it to T-Mac and letting T-Mac get those contested catches. I'd like to see Horn out there. The guy's speedy. Use that. Even if you're not chucking it to him, like use it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, that's the video, guys. I think here on the East Coast, we'll have the Panthers Arizona game. I think kicks up around 4 o'clock on Sunday, and hopefully we have a better game. Keep pounding. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, comment. Yeah, thank you guys for watching.